Question: would you build a website for a major brand with more than 200 million users using?
Hi guys, today I'm gonna start writing my own web search engine. This would be more like for fun, not for some production stuff like that. So I decided to use this Wiki article as the entry point of understanding how basically a web search engine works. I don't really know much about this yet, and I've never done this before. So in this video login series I'm going just to start implementing a custom web search engine on my own, and I hope this would be fun. So web search engine or internet search engine is a software system that is designed to carry out web search. That means to search the World Wide Web in a systematic way for particular information specified in a textual web search query. Search results are generally presented in a line of results, often referred to as search engine results pages. The information maybe makes links to web pages, images. Okay, this is clear. And some engines also mine data available in databases, open data directories. Okay, it's not that. Approach. Okay, so here it is. Basically, the search engine maintains the following processes in near real time. So web crawling, indexing, and searching. So web search engines get their information by web crawling from site to site. The spider checks for the standard file name robots.txt addressed to it. The robots.txt file contains directives for search spiders telling it which pages to crawl. After checking for robots.txt at either quantity or not, the spider sends certain information back indexed depending on the factors such as the title, page content, JavaScript, style sheets, hidden or metadata in HTML metatext. Okay, so indexing means associating words and other definable tokens on the web to their domain names and HTML-based fields. The associations are made in a public database made available for web search queries. A query from user can be a single word. Okay, between visits by the spider, a cached version of page stored in the search engine working memory is quickly sent to an inquirer. Okay, so basically I need three parts. I need to write a crawler, and then I need to store the data into the database, and finally try to make a simple web application to reference that database in order to retrieve the data. And another issue I've faced here is basically I'm not really sure how does the real world search engines get the initial list of domains to start search. So what I'm supposed to do now, just to understand the idea itself, is probably I'll use only one site for now to crawl and store that and store the links, and I want to index just one site, and this would be, guess what? Yes, Stack Overflow. And let's see what we have in robots.txt. So it discloses lots of stuff, but hopefully not the tagged search. Or okay, tags, and it discloses some torturing user agents, probably. Okay, so if we just go to all questions. Okay, hold on a sec, where is it? Here. Okay, let's see. So, okay, it is all of the questions tagged. Does this mean anything? Oh, no, it allows only to... Okay, let me show you guys. Alright, that is how I understand this. So let's say have the questions.
Our mission in Coding Dojo is about redefining what's possible in our students' lives. If you are interested...
Okay, so we can probably parse or scrape all this 18 million questions on Stack Overflow, and if we go to tagged and say try Python here, that this is still probably going to be reachable, so 1 million. But if I say things like Python plus Flask, this would give me an option in web interface, but probably not in the requests. Well, okay, definitely I should have tried to find this out. What I also would need here is actually to be able to go into the next page. But this percentage sign makes me a bit worried if I'm allowed doing this. So I need a page number here. Okay, so as CodeMonkeyKins usually got, as CodeMonkeyKin is used to do, is just do by trial and error approach. It's my favorite one. So I'm gonna learn myself on how to do this basically. Okay, let's create a new repo. I've already been thinking about the name, how to call this, and I call this CodeMonkey Search. CodeMonkey like this. Okay. Okay, let's call this a simple web search engine made for fun. Okay, and let's add some readme file and create a repository here. Okay. Okay, now just clone this to my local machine. Git clone. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is the readme. Okay, that's great. Well, here will be our application, web application as well. I'm going to use Flask this time. So just wondering about the project structure. Well, for now, probably I'll just simply create a document, a file called crawler .py, like this. And here I would be just implementing the crawler itself. And I'll start from Stack Overflow, as was mentioned already. Okay. So yeah, let's start. Okay, what am I gonna need here? So probably the requests library. Of course, I already have requests library installed, and from Beautiful Soup 4 import Beautiful Soup. Okay. Oh, what have I done? What have I done? No, please. What have I done? Can you kick this? I've just git cloned recursively. No, don't want that. Okay. want this one. Great. Okay, so here I need Python 3 crawler.py. Yeah, nothing happens. Okay, this is fine. Okay, so let's create the start URL, and I'll use this Stack Overflow. Well, let me just basically try this. Stack Overflow. Oh, let's start with the questions, basically, like this. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to specify the user agent for now, as well as any other headers. Well, just try to do this the straightforward way and see what happens. Okay. And now it's time to parse content. And I'll use the LXML parser here. Content. Let's just see what's gonna happen here. It's not defined. Right. Of course it doesn't. Start your own stat. Okay, seems like I got something here. Okay, great.
Hey guys, real quick, let me give you a tip on Udemy. It's an amazing place where you can learn just about anything from the comfort of your own.
Okay, now let's get back to the questions here. So I need to extract these questions. Basically, it seems like what I'm going to store later on in the database, probably. Okay. See the page source. Okay, question hyperlink. So we need this question hyperlink class for all the A tags. This is basically the link to the question itself. Okay, this is great. Yeah. And where is my title? Okay, this is my title. Okay, so let's try to get this guys. Okay. So content. Okay. Again, let's take some focus with response. basically now. Okay, and links equal content final. So I want the A tag and class named question hyperlink. Okay, and now let's loop over the links for link in links. Okay, I'm gonna print link href and also link text. All this stuff I'm doing here is beautiful sub-specific usage. Basically, okay. Okay, let me see. Oh, it's pretty long. Okay, so what the hell is this? Why did my relationship with my wife go down by the heart? What the hell is this? Did we have this? Oh, probably he uses some. Okay. Okay, probably he takes this as well. Okay, so in this case we want to probably limit by the number of 15 here. Okay. Okay, if I just try. Okay, let me see. So how many guys in here? So the last one is. Okay. Or I can distinguish them by the question. So all the other stuff is basically I don't need that. Okay, just bearing in mind that. Okay. Now I'm wondering, can I use 50?
Do you want to learn Python from scratch? At Log2Base 2, learning Python is just like watching an anime.
So the tab news, do I really need that? Well, why not? Okay, let's try here. So I'm supposed to have more questions at the moment. Well, so now the last one is show text and how we're using CSS. What was just before that? Yeah, it's another question. Okay. So okay, this is good basically. So and so well, I can limit the number of links scraped here. But on the other hand, okay, let me think. I'm not sure how to do this the right way. So maybe just taking this summary here. Well, definitely I can try that. Okay. So let me try find one div. Okay, we just now try to find that div and start looking for the links within that div instead of trying to look for the links from the document root, basically. Okay, so class summary, is it? Class summary, okay. Definitely not all the available questions here. Well, okay, then that's probably okay. So oh, sure. Well, on the other hand, you know, like if we just go to some other sort of site from here, this might be interesting. Like, well, what are we supposed to see there? Maybe we can even go, I don't know, wherever. So say we come to this question, so any links here available? Okay, lots of stuff here. So this is also Stack Exchange related stuff. Well, but probably at this particular moment I want to avoid this. Okay, so what to choose? Either to limit the links I'm finding in here, this line, or just find them all and then follow only those that are related to the question. Well, probably let's go the second part, the second approach. Okay. So say if link, no, not like this. If question and linkage reference, like this. Let's try to print link text. No, still not. Does it have? Oh, come on. Does it have question in its reference? I'm just wondering. Oh, questions like this. So let's say questions. Okay. 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 It does have questions as well. So let's avoid HTTPS apparently. Okay. Okay, great. So now I have only the Stack Overflow related questions here. Great. Well, for the real, like for the real web search engine, this is a piece of crap, this line of code, but I just want to make something particular that is in my mind, basically in my head. So I allow myself doing things like this. As far as I'm doing this from the web scraping background perspective, I think that's the right way of doing things. Okay. So let me think, what am I supposed to do next now? Okay, now I need to loop over all the pages, right? So over all of this.
At Arizona State University, professors include one of the first women to lead a NASA deep space mission.
Millions, 18 millions questions, so divided by 50, if I use this 50 pages per 50 questions per page. Okay, still pretty lot. Okay, so let's just navigate to. I also need to separate this one apparently to limit the length of the loop that would be raised over the pages. Okay, page 2. Okay, and in page 2 this is still only 15 questions, so if I want a page 2. Well, okay, Stack Overflow, okay. Let's go your way. You want that? Okay. I don't mind. This is still a bit weird, to be honest. Why you don't? So you only allow this to do on the very first page. Oh, come on, is this a bug? Come on, guys, don't tell me I found a bug on Stack Overflow. That's impossible. Page 5, and again, it's just 15. My god, how is that possible? Guys, this is Stack Overflow. Is this some sort of a bug? Okay, forget that. So yeah, let's, instead of this page size, we say page is equal number 1. Let's see what we get here. Remove all downloaded files. Okay. And now let's try page number 2. Still hope to get something here. Okay. How many? Oh, I probably get the 50 questions still, or not. This is interesting, really. Okay, one more little thing is how to handle if the endpoint is not available. So let's check that out as well. So I gotta face an error now. Okay, don't. Okay, just doesn't throw an error. This is a bit strange. Even like this. Okay. Oh, it's no schema supplied. Okay, if I just give you a right schema. Okay, this is it. So name or service not known. So requests, connection error. Here it is. Copy. want to wrap this into the try catch. Block like this. Check that out as well. So gotta face an error now. Okay, don't. Okay, just doesn't throw an error. This is a bit strange. Even like this. Okay. Oh, it's no schema supplied. Okay, if I just give you a right schema. Okay, this is it. Service not known. So requests, connection error, here it is. Copy. I want to wrap this into the try catch. Block like this. I'm going to wrap this into the try catch. Block.
What do developers build on the SendGrid API? A service to send a password reset to a confused customer.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? In this video, we'll be going over how to handle errors and exceptions in Python by learning how these try except blocks work. Now, these try except blocks can be confusing to people who aren't familiar with them because they can actually have a lot of different sections. Like we have this try, except, else, and finally. So let's take a look at exactly what's going on here and how we can use these. Now, a lot of the time, we're just going to use these first two, try and except. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and comment out this else and finally. So first of all, why would we even need a try and except block in the first place? Well, let's run some code that throws an error, and it might give us a better idea of why we need this. So I'm going to try to open up a file here. Look at the current folder that I'm in. We have this test_file.txt. Let's try to open that up, and let's accidentally leave off the underscore. So if I do testfile.txt without the underscore, now if I run this, you can see that we get this long traceback error here. Now this is useful for us as developers because it gives us a lot of useful information. We have this line number here and file not found error and exactly what happened. But if we get an error like this, we wouldn't want something like this to be displayed to the people who are using our software. So if we can anticipate sections of our code that might throw an error or an exception, then we can use these try and except blocks to handle them in the way that we want. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move the code that threw the error into this try section here, and within this except block, I'm just going to print an error and an exclamation point. Actually, let me make this a little bit more detailed. I'm going to say, sorry, this file does not exist. So now if I run this code, you can see that we receive our custom error instead of the longer, more verbose error that Python gave us before. So what exactly is going on here? So what's going on is that within our try block, we're going to try to run some code, and this throws an exception right here. So then if it throws an exception, then we go to our except, and then it's going to print out this line here. Now this exception here is kind of vague. Now if you remember, when we ran this code outside of the try except block, we got a file not found error. And we actually want to be as specific as possible when we catch our exceptions, because the goal of the try excepts isn't to just get around all of the exceptions and errors that we could run into. It's meant to catch the errors that we expect and handle them properly. So this general exception here, it's not only going to catch file not found errors, it's also going to catch a lot of other different problems that we could run into. So for example here, if I was to make this the correct file name and then a line underneath here, let's just make a bad assignment. So I'll say var equals bad var, and if I run this, you can see that we get the exact same thing. It hits this exception and then it says, sorry, this file does not exist. Let me fix this little typo here. So what happened here is within our try block, this code actually ran successfully, and this is what threw the exception, but that's not clear right now because this is too general. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to a catch a file not found error. So now if I save and run this, now you can see that we get the regular Python traceback, which is a good thing. So what happened here is it came in and it opened up this file, and that was the error that we were trying to catch. And then this was an unexpected exception here, and you can see here that it is a name error, and we're only catching file not found errors. So it didn't get caught and it didn't execute this code here, and instead it just printed out the default Python traceback. Now if we do want to catch more general exceptions, then we can actually add another except below this. And so if I say accept an exception, and then within here I'm just going to print, let's see, I'll just print sorry, something went wrong. Now, if you do handle multiple exceptions like this, be sure that you are putting the more specific exceptions at the top and the more general ones the further that you go down, because if I was to put this general exception here at the top, then it's always going to hit that one first and it'll never get to the file not found error. Now currently we're printing out some custom messages here, but if I wanted to just print out the exception that it threw, then I can just do as, and you can name this whatever, I'm just going to say as E. Then I can print out E, and I can also do this for the file not found error too. So I'll do as E, and instead of this custom message I will print out E, and if I run that, you can see that it comes down to this exception here, and instead of printing out a custom message, it prints out the exception that we hit, which is the bad var is not defined. So if I just get rid of this line of code and then run that, then it runs successfully. If I give this a bad file name and run that, you can see that it says error number 2, no such file, a directory, and then the file name. Okay, so that's a quick look at the try except blocks. Now let's deal with the else and find blocks down here. So first let's start out with the else, and I'm going to comment this. Now what the else does is it runs code that needs to be executed if the try clause doesn't already raise an exception. So for example here, let's say that this didn't run an exception here, so I'm going to make this the correct file name, and now I'm just going to print out the contents here, and then I'm also going to close the file. So I'll do an f.close. So if I run this, our try isn't going to throw an exception because we have the correct file name here. And then since it doesn't throw an exception, it's going to execute the code that's within the else clause. So it prints out the contents of the file and then it closes the file. And if I open up this file here, you can see that it just says test file contents, and that's exactly what got printed out down here. Now you might wonder why we just didn't put this in our try block. So we could move this up here and just execute this underneath. And if it throws an exception, then hopefully it's one that we'll catch anyway. Now you could do that, but like I was saying earlier, that we want to be specific about what it is that we're actually trying to catch here. So if I move this code up here, then it may throw an exception and we may catch that exception, but it may be something that we weren't trying to catch and it may just be an accident. So it's better to just go ahead and put that in the else clause, or to just put it after the try block altogether. Okay, so now we come to our finally clause. So like I was saying, the else clause only runs if we don't throw an exception, but the finally runs no matter what happens, whether the code is successful or whether we throw an exception. So this is useful for making sure that you release certain resources regardless of what happened in the try except. So for example, say you are working with a database or something like that, then this would be an area where you could close down the database at this step. So I'm just going to put in a print statement here, and I'm just going to say that I am executing the finally. So you can see if I run this, then it runs our else clause, and then it also executes our finally. And now if within our try, if I make something that's going to throw an exception, and then I run this, you can see that it throws our exception, but it also still executes our finally. So again, that's a way that you can make sure that you properly close down certain things. So like, closing down a database or something like that, something that needs to be done regardless if the code is successful or not. Okay, so we're just about done, but the last thing that I wanted you to know about exceptions is that you can actually raise exceptions on your own if you need to do that. So it doesn't have to be something that Python would have caught on its own. So for example here, I have this corrupt file.txt. So if I open up this corrupt underscore file.txt, now there's nothing actually wrong with this file, but I'm just kind of using it for this example. So I want to raise my own exception here. So I'm going to say if f.name is equal to, and I'm going to say corrupt file.txt. So I'll copy that and paste it in there. Now I'm going to raise an exception manually. So to do that, it's as easy as saying raise and then the exception that you want to raise. So I'll just raise this general exception here. So if I save that and if I run that, so it tried to print this exception, but it just doesn't have any details here. So I'll just put in an error with an exclamation point. So if I run that again, you can see that this line did raise this exception. So then it went down to where this except line where we were handling that exception, and it printed out the error. So this allows us to manually raise exceptions. So if I was to comment out that line and run the code, now you can see that it did the correct thing that it would have done normally. So it opened up the file and it came down here and printed out the contents and closed the file. The contents of the file, it just says corrupt file. And then it ran our finally clause. So that about does it for this video. Hopefully it gave you a large overview of exception handling and gave you some ideas of how you can use this in your projects. If you do have any questions, just ask in the comment section below. Be sure to subscribe for future videos, and thank you all for watching.